Hi, this is Erica with the Flourish Forum, and we're going to be learning Copperplate numbers today. I'm excited because I think numbers really don't get the attention that they deserve, and they do take a little bit of work. I've done a special guidelines just for numbers, which is attached with this lesson in the forum. Also, the video is slowed down to half speed to show you the numbers in more detail. With the number 1, we start off with a light hairline stroke at a very steep angle, and the second stroke starts off light and then builds pressure towards the bottom. It's a pretty easy number. You just need to make sure that you're following the right angle. You can also add a flourish at the bottom, which is similar to crossing a T. One thing you want to be careful of is that initial stroke, that it is at the angle and it doesn't look too much like a 7. We don't want to confuse the post office. So just make sure that first stroke is at that steep angle as you come in. The number 2, there are so many different variations, and in fact I'd like to recommend a book trilogy called Uncommon Numbers, which has some great exemplars and some really neat calligraphy, so check that out. This is what I think is one of the easier ways to make a 2. You start off with a flag, but you don't have to. Come around adding your pressure at that corner, and then ending with a hairline, and again it's like crossing a T at the bottom, or you could come around and loop here at the bottom. So we come around with pressure, and then release as you go towards the baseline, and then again like crossing a T. 3s are a little bit tricky. Start off with the initial stroke, and then that stroke that comes down below the baseline, and just a little bit further over to the left. So there's a little bit more space there, which does give the number a little more balance. You don't have to go below the baseline, but I like it too. Again, you could do a loop there, you could do a little bit of a circle or an ellipse at the bottom. Lots of different variations. And there's the number 3. The number 4, the trick with the number 4 is getting the first and the third strokes to be parallel and on the right angle. So come in with a pressure stroke and then like crossing the T, and then it's like the number 1 where it starts off light at the top with more pressure building as you reach the baseline. So you come down with pressure, releasing just as you get, it's about midway between the baseline and the midline, and then come down. You also could do it where you close the top to make like a triangle. Just make sure you're leaving enough space in that triangle space. 5s start with a light hairline stroke, and then you come around with the oval, and like the 3, you go past the top stroke just a little bit to the left, and you also can go down below the baseline with this one if you'd like and add a circle or an ellipse and then come across. So again, we've got a little bit of space here. It just gives it a little bit more balance and makes it look so like it's not tipping over. So you come around and then cross like you're crossing a T. You also could do a pressure stroke there. Either way, whatever you prefer. And then come around, and then your top. 6s. 6s are so tricky. I'm going to try different variations here. So you can make a 6 with 1 stroke, where you come around, and again apply pressure and come down. Or you could start off just slightly to the right, and come around with a little bit smaller bowl. You also could come around and not connect the final stroke, where you leave a little bit of a space, just like that. The other type of 6 requires 2 strokes. You come around a nice oval shape, it's like a shallow C, and then almost like you're making a B, you come around and meet that hairline. You also could come around. The trickiest part is coming together with this hairline and keeping them looking oval rather than pointed. You could add a little bit of a circle or an ellipse here. 6s take a lot of practice. 7s, pretty straightforward, with or without a flag. Nice hairline going across, and then like the 1, you're coming down with more pressure as you reach the baseline. You also can make the 7 coming down and going past the baseline about a third of the way. I really like that version, where it comes down right here. And some people like to make their 7s with a little bit of a flourish, make it look like a French 7, just like crossing a T. 8s are kind of a difficult number, but you can do it a number of ways with one stroke. If you're using the guideline, you'd start that stroke right on the angle guideline and then come down with pressure and release as you go up. The other way is a series of 3 strokes where you make a very shallow S, and then you come around at the top, finish with a hairline, lift your pen, do another hairline with pressure around the oval as you connect. Takes a little bit of work to get this on the right angle and also to make the number look balanced. The top loop is a little bit smaller than the bottom loop, but I do like this 8. You also could come up and then just add a little bit more pressure at that top there. I like that one too. 9s. The only thing worse than 6s is 9s because they're upside down 6s. But this way is an easy way to make a 9. You start off like you're making a lowercase or minuscule a, just a little bit narrower. And then just like you're making a 1 with a light pressure stroke and building pressure as you go down towards the baseline. You also can go up just a little bit past that oval for the 9. You know, you could actually turn your paper upside down and make a 6 if it's easier for you than making the 9. But this way you start with a slight, almost oval, come around, and again like the 3s, you want to go past that top stroke. And again, you could come down past the baseline if you'd like. You come around and you can add either a circle or an ellipse here. And give it a little bit extra space there to make it balanced so it's not tipping over. 0s are much like making an O. Can make it in 2 strokes. You come around, and on the right you come around applying pressure on the right side and then releasing as you meet the strokes together. Obviously the hardest part is getting those strokes to line up without overlapping and without making the top or the bottom look too pointy. Practice, practice, practice. This number is really about practice. You also could make this with just one stroke, and it would just be a light hairline on the right as you come up. And if you're finding it really difficult, you can do it without connecting the first stroke at all and come around and just make a little bit of a flourish into the number. So those have been the pointed pen numbers. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot.